My name is Heather Smith, and for my final project, I decided to study the online education, its history, and social media's inevitable impact. This presentation will go over the history of online classes from the first completely online course being developed in 1981 to the first large-scale online education field trials in 1996. We will also go over what online classes have to offer and who they're for, current trends of social media involvement with online education, and what the future holds for online education. Surprisingly, email and computer conferencing began 43 years ago. Email was invented in 1971, and a year later, computer conferencing was created. Email had various progenies, and online education was one of them. In the early 1980s, elementary and secondary schools adopted network communication. The first completely online courses were started in 1981 with mini courses and training programs. One of the first was developed by the Western Behavioral Sciences Institute in 1982, and it was used for executive education. 1983 was the year where the networked classroom model came into play. The idea came from how the primary and secondary schools were using online education. One of the first examples is RAPPI, where school children and teachers were linked in over 70 secondary schools across Canada, France, England, and Italy. Studies focused on social studies and writing, but this program allowed students to learn about other cultures, perspectives, and about the global community. Another example is Learning Circles, invented by the Intercultural Learning Network. The program first had students mailing diskettes, and later they used email. It started with students in San Diego, California, and Alaska. Then it included other American states, and eventually Japan, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and Israel. Studies of these programs showed an improvement in writing skills because having an audience to write to was more motivational than just writing assignments alone. Then, in 1985, National Geographic created a kids network, and in 1987, AT&T set up their own learning network. In 1984, the first online undergraduate courses were developed. Some of the first classes came from the New Jersey Institute of Technology. A couple professors came together and developed the software and teaching methods for their virtual classroom. The term virtual classroom was even registered as a trademark for that institute. Later, in 1985, graduate courses began appearing online. A few examples include how the Nova Southeastern University started offering graduate programs through its Graduate School of Computer and Information Sciences. Also, a program called Connect Ed was developed by Paul Levinson in New York at the New School of Social Research. Another institute to first implement these programs was the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education at the University of Toronto. Also, in 1985, the first labor education network came about. It was called Solinet and was used by the Canadian Union of Public Employees. This created multiple professional development networks, a base for online learning communities, and a way for professionals to continue their education online. Then, in 1986, knowledge building networks started appearing. The Ontario Institute for Students in Education in Toronto came into play again with their invention of the Ontario Educators Online course. More communities started emerging in 1990 with Global Lab, LabNet, Star Schools, and the Technical Education Research Centers. The TERC has been inspiring millions of students throughout the United States through math and science for over 40 years now due to their huge online influence. In 1986, the first full online degree program was created. Connect Ed was one of the first networks to implement a complete degree through the New School of Social Research in New York. 3 years later, the University of Phoenix Online was developed, and in 1991, they awarded degrees to its first online class of MBA students. It might be a surprise to most, but most of the courses previously mentioned were all done without the use of the internet. The internet wasn't launched until 1989. The first large-scale online course was put in place by the Open University in the United Kingdom. It was focused on distance education by using computer conferencing. Approximately 1,500 students had access to tutors and discussions with their peers online. A few years later, in 1992, the World Wide Web was created by Tim Berners-Lee at CERN, which is a French acronym for the European Council for Nuclear Research. It was originally developed for automatic information sharing between scientists. However, the software was not put into the public domain until about 1993. Due to the newly released World Wide Web, Canada took a step forward connecting all schools, museums, libraries, and Aboriginal communities in the country. Canada called this networking program SchoolNet. Then, the country also developed the Telelearning Network of Centers of Excellence in 1995. This was a major online research program. Field testing also began in 1996, one of which was the Virtual U field trials. I will discuss the Virtual U field trials later on in the next couple of slides. Creating classes online made those who were a part of the development think of how students were going to actually learn. After studying Virtual U courses, it was revealed that 100% of the classes used collaborative learning in some fashion. 26% used discussions, 30% used discussions and individual work, 11% used discussions and group activity, and the majority of 33% employed discussions and individual and group work. When it came to assessments, 48% of the courses used individual assignments, 21% had group assignments, 25% graded the quality and quantity of online participation, 13% only graded quality of input, and 12% set up exams. Having analyzed 32 completely online courses, it was apparent that active learning and participation was very high. 75% of the students logged on 10 or more times a week, and 88% did so at least 5 times a week to read and write messages or access their resources. Even hybrid classes had significant interaction. 25% of students logged on at least 10 times a week. Online students display a pattern of highly active engagement. In the courses studied, there was not a single hour where the content was not accessed. Also, 80% of all messages sent were from students, and 30% of all messages were replies. This shows us that peer interaction was high. Progress from divergent to convergent thinking is key in online education. It starts as generating these ideas, moves to idea linking, then ends with convergent thinking. Online education gave us new modes of delivery: adjunct, mixed, and entirely online. The adjunct mode is simply an enhancement of face-to-face or distance education. It is not necessarily required or used as a graded component. It first originated with the individuals who introduced the society to email and computer conferencing. Today, the internet is used in all facets of education. It's used for research, connecting to peers, and to remain current with an individual's field of study. Computer conferencing has also come in handy in providing online office hours and general discussion. It allows students to help one another, have open class discussions, and give tips to other students on how to succeed. Many instructors have also chosen to administer tests and quizzes online. Many tools are made available to students and instructors now. While adjunct mode means networking is partially integrated into the curriculum, mixed mode is fully incorporated. Networking is a normal part of the course and is a graded component. This mode gives us hybrid classes. A good example of this type is a communications course in Canada that uses 6 weeks of the 13-week period for online student-led seminars. while the other 7 weeks are held on campus as lectures and tutorials. The online seminars make it so every student is able to participate, which is impossible for any size of face-to-face class. The completely online mode makes the web or network the primary environment for course interaction. Presentations, testing, and even group work is all completed online. When this mode was first launched, it was noted that there really was no difference in a student's outcome when comparing the online courses to their face-to-face classes. Students even felt that they had learned more online. It was also reported that they were more social and convivial, while many were dismissing this type of communication as cold and inhuman. It gives those who have a hard time speaking up in class a chance to discuss topics with ease. The conversations are also not dominated by only a few students. With online education came new learning domains. These included many-to-many, any place, anytime, text-based, and computer-mediated messaging. These 5 attributes together are what makes online education unique. Many-to-many is also known as group communication. It encourages working through issues with other students, active exchange of information, new perspectives, opportunities to compare, discuss, and modify concepts, and arriving at intellectual convergence. Any place, also called place independence, gives students access to various web resources, including their peers and other experts in the field of study, and a chance to explore shared interests with one another instead of just sharing a location. Time independence, also called anytime, enables unlimited access because the programs are available 24 hours every day. Participation by the student when they are ready instead of being required to do so at a specific time, and gives them a chance to participate all week, therefore continuously building their knowledge. Text-based messaging allows students to better express their ideas, others to focus on the message rather than the person, and a rich database of ideas. Computer-mediated messaging enables customizable learning environments, the ability to build templates and educational support, access to tools used for exchanging and organizing ideas, and databases that are searchable, transmissible, and modifiable. One of the first web-based environments using these attributes was Virtual U at Simon Fraser University. The software development was based on research and was evidence-driven. In 1995, it became one of the main research applications within the telelearning network of Centers of Excellence. Online education has also given us new educational roles and entities. These include the virtual professor, learner, course, and university. The virtual professor chooses to teach online along with or instead of having face-to-face meetings. 75% of the professors in Virtual U were senior staff and over 33% were female. These professors claim their love for teaching was renewed with this new environment due to the students being more engaged with their work. The virtual learner is one who would rather take some, if not all, of their classes online. Many prefer the interaction and quality that online courses tend to offer. A virtual course was discussed earlier with the 3 different types: adjunct, hybrid, and totally online. The virtual university does not stray from the typical university model. Courses are just simply online where students have access to them anytime and anywhere. Many feel that online classes are for a specific type of person. A study was conducted using the Myers-Briggs Cognitive Style Inventory personality test to determine if this was the case. The Myers-Briggs test contains personality traits where the student decides on a spectrum from agree to disagree whether the trait is a description of themselves or not. Once completed, the student is given 4 letters to describe their personality. I stands for introvert, E for extrovert, S for sensor, F for feeler, J for judger, N for intuitor, T for thinker, and P for perceiver. The study concluded with no one learning style being predominant. Therefore, the study shows online courses strive to accommodate all learning styles. A major issue I have found with online classes, though, is some students find it difficult to manage their time. While some enjoy the freedom to work on their classes whenever they want, others need the structure of an on-campus class. In order to have a successful online course, instructors have to find ways to engage students. The learning environment must be supportive, open, and respectful of all ideas that are brought up. Having a detailed syllabus, open discussion boards, being prompt in responding to students, and addressing students in a respectful manner helps immensely. Implementing instructor-mediated discussion helps promote student interactivity and more in-depth participation. Peer-to-peer discussions have also been proven to be as important, if not more so, than peer-to-instructor conversations. Problem-based learning is another good strategy to foster interactivity. It poses a scenario based on real-world problems and allows the group to develop solutions while working as a team to do so. Many schools are using social media in their classrooms today. Here are a couple examples. With Chandler Gilbert Community College, an instructor named Darian Ripple decided to make his sustainability courses paperless by making everything digital. He first attempted using ePortfolio, and it worked until the college decided to discontinue it. Then he tried using Google and Blackboard options until he concluded that he could use Facebook instead for his courses. By using Facebook, it allowed students to stay connected with each other and to share articles, videos, and other information so that the students that had busy schedules could find it in the time to access the course. It made it easier to schedule meetings with each other for study sessions if their times were flexible as well. This use of Facebook as a platform for higher education was eventually called a mini campus, based off of the diversity and integration that was made up of separate group courses called virtual classrooms. Los Angeles Trade Technical College's main goal of applying social media to their classes involves the use of YouTube to show instructional videos for students that either need to look back on previous steps to make sure it was done correctly, work at their own pace, or even use it to catch up on something they might have missed. Another thing they have used to their advantage was promoting available classes via Facebook so that enough students were recruited to fill the seats of the course. When Second Life was first developed in 2003, many people loved the program, and eventually some institutes decided to use it as a way to hold classes online. They did so by purchasing islands for the class to meet on. This came easy to those accustomed to video games, while it proved difficult for others. Using Second Life to host face-to-face, or in other words, avatar-to-avatar meetings, could help students with time management issues to better succeed in an online environment. However, it is an expensive and time-consuming option for the school, and it is recommended to look at other options as well. Social media is a big influence in higher education today, as well as people's way of life in general. More than 1.2 billion people use Facebook on a regular basis, and 2.7 billion people regularly use some form of social media. That equals almost 40% of the world's population. The University of Massachusetts Dartmouth conducted a study and found that 100% of surveyed schools use it in some fashion. The most common applications were videos and blogs. Another survey concluded that 70.3% of faculty use social media in their personal lives, and 55% use networks strictly in professional context. It is very rare to come across an individual or school that does not have a following through some sort of social media, whether it's through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. With education shifting to more online use, students are becoming more collaborative. There is an increased use of forums, online assessments, and embedded videos. Hybrid courses even tend to demand more peer-to-peer collaboration than traditional courses. In these, the students receive the best of both worlds, face-to-face interaction and online participation. Many teachers see online classes as a great way to spark group communication and problem-solving skills while enhancing their knowledge of the subject matter. Examples of integrating online, hybrid, and collaborative learning include Arizona State University, Ohio State University, and Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. ASU uses a video platform called HapYak in hybrid courses. It creates an interactive environment and allows the instructors to see who is looking at what within the course in order to determine what areas are most important and what items need improvement. OSU has been experimenting in order to create a HyFlex model in which there is interactive polling, lecture recording, and synchronous communication. This program basically gives the university its own social network. IUPUI has student researchers currently working on web conferencing platforms in order to give them peer-led team learning.